Greetings everyone. Here we are again with another recap. In this video, I'll provide a summary of a thriller film from 2015 titled Home Sweet Hell. Before delving into the plot, please remember to show your support by liking and subscribing for more film recaps. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. The film opens in a tranquil, picturesque residential neighborhood where a seemingly perfect family resides, enjoying material prosperity. The husband goes by the name Don, and his wife is called Mona. They have two children, named Allison and Andrew. In this family, Mona exerts her dominance with an overbearing demeanor, and her every word is law. Their husband-wife relationship is rigid, with everything adhering to Mona's meticulously planned schedule. The days they experience are far from the joyful and intimate moments one might associate with a healthy family. In reality, Mona harbors excessive insecurity about her children, demanding that they excel in every aspect, even if it means achieving success through unethical means. Any form of defiance or disobedience is met with severe punishment. Don, on the other hand, is quite disheartened and unhappy with this situation. Adding to his frustration, Mona frequently rejects his advances. This is because Mona is an individual with lofty aspirations, and she meticulously schedules everything, including the time allocated for intimacy with Don. In their professional lives, Don works as a manager in a fairly sizable furniture store. This shop was established with financial support from Mona's parents, making her the store's technical owner. One day, the store holds interviews for new employees, and a woman named Dusty comes in for an interview at Don's shop. Don appears to be drawn to Dusty right from their initial encounter. Simultaneously, a man is shown having just committed a murder. He subsequently watches a TV commercial for Don's furniture store currently airing. It becomes evident that this man and his gang have begun surveilling Don and his wife's activities. Meanwhile, Don continues to navigate the monotony of his life with Mona, while one of the gang members trails him to uncover his residence. Eventually, Don manages to escape from this surveillance and begins an affair with Dusty. Their relationship deepens, rendering Don and Mona's marriage even more lackluster. Initially, everything goes smoothly for Don, and he keeps his affair hidden from Mona. However, it all comes crashing down one day during a family gathering when Dusty delivers unexpected news to Don. She's pregnant with his child. This revelation leaves Don utterly stunned, as Dusty had previously been on pregnancy prevention medication. Dusty firmly declines the option of terminating her pregnancy because she genuinely desires to have children. She urges Don to take responsibility for their actions. In his dilemma, Don turns to Lay for advice, as most people would. Lay suggests that Don offered Dusty money in exchange for her silence and departure from his life. Lay believes that women like Dusty often seek to exploit well-established men like Don. This advice rings true, as it's revealed that Dusty is romantically involved with a gangster named Murphy, the man we saw earlier. In essence, Murphy instructs Dusty to target affluent men so they can extract some of their wealth. However, in this instance, Dusty has developed genuine feelings for her mark. To cut a long story short, Don follows Lay's counsel and gives Dusty $13,000. He then implores her to end their relationship and cease any future contact. Dusty, however, refuses, feeling degraded and objectified. At this juncture, Don is genuinely worried that his mistake could unravel his family, result in the loss of his children, and cause Mona to react unpredictably. The extortion doesn't end with the $13,000, as Murphy demands more money, this time a larger sum of $25,000. Don is in a bind, having no funds left and facing Dusty's persistent blackmail. With no other recourse, Don takes the risk of being honest with his wife and confesses everything to Mona. She asks, "What did you do, Don?" Struggling to articulate his guilt, eventually admits to having an affair with Dusty, the salesgirl at the store. Surprisingly, Mona remains composed and responds in a manner Don didn't anticipate. Instead, she inquires if he still loves her. Don asserts his love for her and their children, expressing his willingness to make amends. However, it won't be that simple, as Don must now confront Mona's anger. She begins to enumerate all the opportunities she and her family have provided him, and she begins to reveal her darker side. Mona demands that Don eliminate Dusty to stop her extortion, declaring that anyone who threatens her family's integrity will face her wrath. As Dusty calls Don for the $20,000, Mona instructs him to comply. At this point, Mona presents Don with two choices: divorce, resulting in the loss of his wife and children, or follow her instructions to kill Dusty. Don grapples with the moral dilemma of taking someone's life, but is equally afraid of losing the family he holds dear. The following day, Mona continues to pressure her husband to commit the murder before Dusty arrives at the office at night to collect the money, all while having a lethal dose of drugs prepared to end Dusty's life. Mona, anchored by Dusty's fear, convinces Don to stand against the people attempting to dismantle their family. Consequently, with no other options, Don reluctantly embraces Mona's plan and contemplates how to initiate their next move. Later that day, Dusty arrives and is met by Dawn, who offers her a drink laced with a drug. As she sips from the glass, she begins to feel disoriented, noticing Dawn's peculiar behavior. Soon after, Dusty realizes she has been drugged and collapses as the chemicals take effect. Mona reappears and instructs Dawn to place Dusty in the trunk of a car. Upon returning home, Dawn is still paralyzed by fear and shocked to find Dusty still alive. Mona, however, finds it amusing and directs Dawn to fetch a hammer. He complies but explains his inability to go through with it due to fear. Mona then instructs him to open the trunk and takes matters into her own hands. The gruesome act takes place in their garage, leaving Dawn sickened and retreating to the bathroom. Meanwhile, Murphy grows suspicious as Dusty has been missing for several days with no word from her. Dawn is panicked when he sees Murphy speaking to his son outside their house. Murphy insists on meeting Dawn at a club to inquire about Dusty's whereabouts. At the club, Dawn fabricates a story about giving Dusty the money and being unaware of her whereabouts. Murphy demands $20,000 by the following day, threatening harm to Dawn's wife and child. After the meeting, Mona urges Dawn to unearth Dusty and go to the gangster's house. Mona has a plan to deal with them. During the night, Dawn and Murphy meet again at a club, while Mona arrives at the gangster's house and proceeds to break in. The gangsters are at the club. Mona places something in the refrigerator, which turns out to be Dusty's dismembered body parts, including her severed head. Shortly after, one of the gangsters arrives with a woman, and Mona swiftly dispatches them with a kitchen knife taken from the house. Leaving the scene, Mona takes an undercover phone and reports the disturbance to the police from Murphy's house. Upon hearing this, Murphy rushes home and is shocked to find the chaos Mona has left behind, along with Dusty's remains in the refrigerator. Realizing he's been set up, he attempts to escape but is shot dead by the police, except for one of his men who manages to hide beneath the house through a secret door. One night, Dawn, curious about his wife's action, tries to inquire about Mona's past, suspecting that some traumatic or tragic childhood event may have influenced her current behavior. Mona's response takes an unexpected and emotionally charged turn. She vehemently asserts that her parents are perfect and have never caused her any harm. Mona then issues a chilling threat, swearing that if Dawn ever dares to ask that question again, she will murder and mutilate him just as she did to Dusty. The next day, the police visit Dawn's home and inform him about the death of his employee, Dusty. They mention that they've apprehended one of the culprits but are still searching for another. However, the focus shifts when someone reports that Dawn had been at Dusty's place. Faced with this revelation, Dawn has no choice but to confess to the police about his affair with Dusty and the extortion scheme initiated by Dusty's boyfriend to prevent Mona from discovering his actions. The officer, in a somewhat sarcastic manner, expresses his reluctance to discover another dead body if Mona were to find out. During their conversation, a neighbor's dog unexpectedly enters their garage, irritating Mona. She sternly warns them about what she'll do if the dog enters her property again. At Andrew's birthday celebration, Dawn becomes aware that the neighbor's dog has been killed and placed in the refrigerator. While everyone seems to be enjoying a friendly competition between Andrew and Leigh's son, Mona notices that Andrew is struggling to win. This infuriates her, and she deems the competition unfair, believing Leigh's son may be using steroids. Dawn also observes Mona insulting the mother of the child, who suffers from Crohn's disease, wishing an agonizing fate upon her. When Allison notices her brother's distress, she promptly seizes the opportunity and smashes the unicorn toy until it's crushed. It's evident that Allison is Mona's favorite child, and Mona consistently treats her more favorably than Andrew. Seeing how his son is mistreated and fearing that his daughter Allison may become more like Mona in the future, Dawn decides it's time to put an end to the madness instigated by his wife. He hatches a plan to create a fatal accident. Dawn turns off the electricity to the garage lamp in their home to cause an electrical short that would generate a spark. He then asks Mona to go to the garage fridge and fetch some beef, while he pretends to check the grill. As Mona enters the garage and opens the lamp, an electric spark ignites the accumulated gas, resulting in a powerful explosion that claims Mona's life. Dawn, now living in a new house, enjoys the fortune left to him by his late wife. He and his children lead a happy life without the oppressive rules imposed by Mona, including the fear of being harmed by her. However, the film doesn't conclude just yet, as the police haven't located Murphy, the individual who escaped from the house earlier. It becomes apparent that Murphy is tailing Dawn's car from behind. The film concludes during the credits with the sound of 2 gunshots, suggesting that Dawn has been shot by Murphy. That wraps up the recap for Home Sweet Hell in 2015. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.